This show has a substance, a meaning, a soul, and a heart that is unrivaled by any other show that I've ever seen. Hi guys and welcome to Xena GK. I'm Gary G, actually, Gary G Reviews, the name that I go by on my main channel. So it's been a few years since I've been in this channel, but I decided to renew it, so to speak, rebuild it, restart it. I'm not going to delete, of course, any of my videos before that, but I do have a bit more time now. Well, it's just a bit, considering everything that I usually have to do, but guys, I am passionate about Xena as ever, so I decided to rebuild this channel and start anew in a way and give you some content that I don't actually see to be done much on YouTube about Xena, and I do think that Xena deserves it. So I did a Xena review a few years ago on my main channel, and I was a kid back then, so I'm kind of embarrassed to watch now, and yeah, I just wanted to make an updated review of the show and just talk about Xena Geek Out as a Xena fan, which is my dream basically. Let's start, guys. So for those of you that don't know or that do know Xena Warrior Princess, this was a show from the 90s, starting from 1995 to 2001. 6 seasons total. Fortunately, the show was cancelled in 2001, but they did manage to wrap it up, so to speak, as a story. The ending is controversial and a lot of fans are not actually agreeing with it. I'm, in that boat, you can say. Now let's not get ahead of myself. So Xena Warrior Princess, basically, guys, as a character, Xena started in Hercules, the legendary journey. She was initially a villain that is supposed to be a very big rival of Hercules. She kind of started as a character that was not supposed to stick around that much. But after the first episode, then second, third episode, those 3 episodes became the Xena trilogy, and the character received amazing reactions from the audience. They decided to keep her. The ratings were pretty good in those episodes. As far as I remember, those ratings are considered pretty high in those particular 3 episodes, and that led to her own TV show. In the world of TV shows, crossovers, and spin-offs, this was actually one of the first as far as I know. I personally saw the show much later into the 2000s when I was growing up, just because the show just came pretty late in Bulgaria, my country. Since then I've rewatched all the episodes several times, except some episodes with Gabriel only or Autolycus, episodes that are not really that serious. They're just literally around 5 of them that Xena is not actually there present, and the stories are just something random, but never mind that. I'm just telling you all of this to get some kind of an idea of Xena and me. But in my country, in Bulgaria, I was something like the lead Xena fan. I created the forum some years ago. I created so many music videos that you can see here on the channel that I just, I created from the bottom of my heart to express my love for Xena, to express some of the topics that the show had, to create new ones as storylines that are kind of fictional, to express Xena and Gabriel's relationship, Xena and Ares, Hercules and Xena. So many views, so many topics. So that's how I actually learned to edit videos. But back to Xena, guys. So Xena Warrior Princess, I think that in today's times, because generations change, I do know some people that are also very young and they caught up on the show very, very late, even later than me. So basically now they're still like teens or in their 20s, guys, girls that more recently discovered Xena. So for the new generations that discovered Xena and know Xena, that is pretty awesome. They still find her as pretty epic character. They can still perceive the show like today's shows, but they do see the deeper meaning in it, which is great. Of course, there are some people that are still confusing Xena with Wonder Woman, or still, have some misconceptions of the character, so that's why I like to do this updated review, so maybe that's gonna clear some things out. As starting as a villain, then continuing with her first episode and her show, we see that Xena is going through this period of redemption. She is struggling with herself and what she did in her past, which was a lot of bad things. And why she did all of those bad things? Well, when she was a young girl, her village was attacked, her young brother Lysias was killed. She decided to become a warrior, gather some people and just try to protect her village, but this turned into taking other villages beforehand before they can do anything to attack her village or something like this along the lines. That was the idea, but that just turned into the same thing that she was afraid of. I mean, she started to loot other villages just to take them over, and she became very vengeful. Then she met Caesar. He betrayed her very badly. That made her more evil, more vengeful. Then Ares, the god of war, took a very huge liking to her, and the fact that she's relentless and all of her qualities. So he taught her what he could about being a warlord, basically. She was called Xena, the Destroyer of Nations. So at one point, Xena was the evilest possible bitch of the ancient world. And yeah, and when she met Hercules, she was very close to killing him, actually. So yeah, but when she met him, he kind of showed her the way, and she already had her doubts about the moral aspects of what she's doing, what her army is doing. She had this rule to not kill women and children. Of course, there was some collateral damage. From that damage, one of her best villains was born, Callisto. She was a girl from a village that Xena's army attacked. Unfortunately, her mom and sister were burned during the attack. Xena's army burned the village. Xena didn't know about this, and Callisto thought that it was all Xena's fault, so she dedicated her life to learn how to be the best warrior she could be, to copy Xena in a way, to acquire similar abilities so she can go after her, first tarnish her image and then kill her. So that's this really also amazing story about Callisto and Xena, and how all the things that Xena did had severe consequences in pretty much the whole ancient world, and that came to haunt Xena a lot of her life and path of redemption. So in the first episode, Xena decides to just live the warrior life, just be feeling very heavy about what she didn't know where to go or how to continue her life without an army, being her own warrior, trying to do the right thing, but just didn't know how to start. And as she buried her armor in the dirt, she heard some commotion, and she saw through the bushes basically that a group of criminals were trying to take some hostages to sell them as slaves. Among them was a young girl, Gabrielle. She stood up to them. Xena was impressed, basically. She took action right away, and she kicked those guys' asses, and the people was saved. And this girl, Gabrielle, was forever inspired by the actions of Xena. And being a young girl in this village, she was going to be married to a guy that she doesn't love. She was going to be a housewife. That was basically the fate of every girl around her age, in these parts. But she didn't want this life. She wanted to be a warrior, to be something more. So she wanted Xena to take her with her. Xena didn't want to, but eventually she agreed, and she saw something in that girl, in Gabrielle. So that's how Xena got her sidekick, Gabrielle, and both became best friends. Now, I'm not going to get into the subtext of their relationship. I've talked about this even in one of my recent videos. One Xena fan wrote me and he presented some very good points about that, so I discussed her relationship with Gabrielle in length. Very interesting video, I'm gonna link it somewhere. From this point on, Xena and Gabrielle continued on their path. Xena started teaching Gabrielle how to not use violence, how to not pick up a sword because she's gonna become a target this way. If she's not ready, she just should run. The main weapon of Gabrielle became then a staff, and so on and so on. She developed through the seasons as a totally different character. She was a bard at first as well. She wrote the scrolls of Xena, telling Xena's story. Just so many layers upon layers upon layers of both Xena and Gabriel's journey, their journey together, the people and the gods, the creatures that they meet. It's extremely fascinating. So I just want to, to not make this review like 5,000 hours like my previous. Well, previous was like 16 minutes, but I just wanted to let you guys know that if you've never seen Xena Warrior Princess, what can you expect from the show? So you can expect, yeah, the first few seasons, not very high budget. Those are different times, but they did the best they could for those times. And no matter how the show looks, I think that it looks pretty good. Compared to new shows, of course, that it cannot compare in terms of scale. They did do some really amazing special effects, giants, fortresses. Later on they improved. That is not what is freaking important anyway. I'm just putting the mention here about the visuals, but once again, that just does not matter, guys. This show has a substance, a meaning, a soul, and a heart that is unrivaled by any other show that I've ever seen. The closest I ever got to be that moved and that inspired was Charmed, the TV show Charmed, the original Charmed, not the reboot. Xena is not just inspiration for girls in any kind of a way. She's inspiration for every human being that just wants to correct any kind of a mistake they ever made in their life, and to see how you can be a totally different person, to improve, to be the warrior that you always imagine that somebody else should be, but you know in your heart that you can be your own warrior, your own savior. You don't need somebody else to do that for you. You can do that yourself. You can find that inner power within you. There's so many absolutely amazing messages about strength, redemption, inner power, inner drive, and love, unconditional love. That just transcends the physical life and death. The way that the show presents all of those topics, values, morals, I never seen before. So years have passed since I started watching Xena, since I finished watching Xena. Then of course I rewatched it, I don't know how many times. But during these times till today, I've seen, of course, so many shows and movies. I've seen Wonder Woman as a movie. I've seen, of course, other female characters, but I can tell you to this day, none come close to Xena's qualities. None come close to what the show can teach you, what the character herself and her growth can teach you. It's so deep into my heart that I don't think that no matter how much I grow and develop, no matter how much I watch other things, Xena has so many layers that it's just unbelievable, guys. I do know people that to this day watch Xena for inspiration every day, and it's what keeps them going. And the show did help a lot of people from very heavy situations in their lives. So it's not just a movie or a TV show when it comes to art. There are some shows, there are some movies that are just more. And that is what Xena is. So I grew up with it. I was a little kid that was just watching in awe whatever Xena did on the screen. That we watched so many of the episodes, almost all of them, especially my favorites, of course. And still I'm like glued to the screen, cannot stop watching, I'm just forgetting about breathing. I'm just all in and experiencing what Xena is experiencing on screen, what the characters are, how they act. The acting is superb. All the dialogue is so mature. It's just amazing, guys. So I would give Xena as a TV show a 10 out of 10. It's timeless classic. Before I really wanted the show to be rebooted just so I can watch Xena, but don't do it. You're just gonna ruin it. Xena is the best as she is. Just watch the original. You don't need anything else pretty much. So that's it, guys. My review updated for 2020 for Xena Warrior Princess, I'm still so happy and proud because, you know, Xena made me create this forum. This forum brought some people together and changed my life, and Xena did change a lot of other lives. So something that is not real and fictional has a real life impact. Actually, that is what my banner here on the channel expresses. You know, Xena watching one direction, me watching the other direction with my hands like this. That is like saying Xena from a fictional universe and Xena from the real universe. You know, two different worlds, but the fictional does impact the real in such a way that, so to speak, corrected the course of this life, and a lot of people were brought together because of this fictional character and her values and her story. So that's it, guys. Thank you very much for watching. You can check out my main channel down below if you like, and my fitness channel for fitness coaching, GTR Fitness, and my OnlyFans. The next time with me, Gary G Reviews, or finally Xena GK.